Friends, someone once said a wise thing. People can snatch something from your hands, but they can never take away what is destined for you. Today's story is special and full of wisdom. I hope you'll listen to it completely. Once upon a time in a small kingdom, there lived a learned and respected scholar named Acharya Tripathi. Renowned far and wide, his wisdom and knowledge brought honor to his family. Kings sought his advice, and his words were regarded as priceless gems. However, Acharya was deeply engrossed in his studies, books, and writings, leaving little time for his family. Acharya had a wife who adored him, and a young son named Arpan. Acharya, though a brilliant scholar, failed to notice how his neglect affected his family, especially Arpan. As Acharya devoted himself entirely to his academic pursuits, Arpan grew up under the overly indulgent care of his mother. Without the firm guidance of his father, Arpan became unruly. Arpan roamed the streets while other children spent their days in school or learning skills. He found company in mischievous boys who encouraged him to skip school and pick up bad habits. Over time, Arpan began gambling and drinking. His association with these boys led him further astray, and soon he found himself in the company of thieves. Despite his son's deteriorating character, Acharya remained oblivious. His wife, although aware, dismissed Arpan's actions, thinking, "He's just a child, he'll grow out of it." Unfortunately, this leniency only emboldened Arpan. One fateful day, Arpan and his friends plotted to rob a temple. They managed to steal precious offerings but were caught by the temple guard. When the guards discovered that one of the thieves was the son of the great Acharya Tripathi, they were appalled. Arpan and his friends were dragged to the king's court. The news spread like wildfire, reaching Acharya's ears. Disbelief and shame overwhelmed him. How could my son, the son of a scholar, commit such a heinous act, he thought. Acharya's wife pleaded with him, "Please save our son. He is young and made a mistake. You must convince the king to forgive him." Acharya, torn between his principles and his family, replied firmly, "A crime is a crime. Protecting a wrongdoer, even if it's my own son, is against the laws of Dharma." But his wife, desperate and heartbroken, threatened, "If anything happens to Arpan, I won't live either." Bound by his love for his family, Acharya reluctantly went to the king's court. Standing before the king, Acharya folded his hands and said, "Your Majesty, my son has committed a grave sin. He deserves punishment. However, I request you to show him mercy, for he is still young and perhaps can change his ways." The king, though angered by the crime, respected Acharya deeply. After careful thought, he said, "Acharya, I will pardon your son on one condition. You must apologize publicly for his actions." The entire court was stunned. A man as honorable as Acharya Tripathi was being asked to apologize for his son's wrongdoing. Acharya, though humiliated, accepted the condition. "If this can save my son and give him a chance to reform, I will do it," he said. The king released Arpan, but the incident tarnished Acharya's reputation. People who once admired him began to gossip. "How could a great scholar raise such a wayward son?" they whispered. The humiliation weighed heavily on Acharya, and his health began to deteriorate. Meanwhile, Arpan showed no remorse. Instead of feeling grateful, he continued his reckless behavior. He gambled away whatever little money the family had. One day, he stole and sold some of his father's treasured books to fund his vices. When Acharya discovered this, he was devastated. "My life's work gone," he lamented, but his frail body could not confront Arpan. As Acharya's health worsened, he poured all his energy into writing one final manuscript, a culmination of his lifetime of wisdom. On his deathbed, he handed the manuscript to Arpan and said, "This is my greatest work. It holds the essence of my knowledge. Take care of it, for it is the only treasure I can leave you." Not long after, Acharya passed away. Without him, the family fell into poverty. Arpan, still consumed by his bad habits, tried to sell the manuscript, but no one recognized its value. Desperation drove him to steal once more. This time, he was caught robbing fruits from the king's garden. The king, fed up with Arpan's behavior, banished him from the kingdom. Homeless and broken, Arpan wandered from village to village, carrying the manuscript with him. One day, he met a kind scholar who noticed the manuscript and exclaimed, "Do you realize what you have? This is a masterpiece. Your father was a genius." Arpan, hearing the admiration for his father, felt a deep sense of regret. The scholar continued, "Your father's knowledge lives on in these pages. Why don't you study it and honor his legacy?" Something stirred within Arpan. For the first time, he realized the weight of his father's wisdom and the opportunities he had squandered. Determined to change, Arpan began studying the manuscript. It wasn't easy. Years of neglect had dulled his mind, but he persevered. Slowly, he transformed, gaining not only knowledge, but also a sense of responsibility. Years later, Arpan became a respected teacher, using his father's work to guide others. People marveled at his transformation, and he often told his students, "It's never too late to change. What you choose today shapes your tomorrow." Moral of the story: redemption is always possible if one has the courage to face their mistakes and change. Knowledge and wisdom are the true legacies that last forever.